says gambling control. I don't believe that you can control gambling. And the world over, Speaker, you will see that there are countries who have either allowed gambling to happen or have completely refused for it to happen in their economies. But those who have tried a middle ground, like we are trying right now, have not been able to control gambling, as it implies in this title of the bill. Speaker, I think that we need to remember that prevention is better than cure. And a lot of the time, I have seen in this House, as well as our twin House in the National Assembly, look at problems in our society as something that can be legislated in black and white. But unfortunately, there are a lot of gray areas when it comes to gambling. I like what the previous speaker has said, which is that gambling follows vices. And I believe, Speaker, that that is the case for us here in Kenya. Because if you look at any reports or any pieces of data or research, which I have because I have interacted with this bill before in our committee, you will see that gambling follows quite specific vices in this country. Gambling is always targeted to vices such as abuse of alcohol and drugs. Gambling will target those who have vices around addiction of some kind. Of course, sports, Speaker. It also follows vices such as pornography, which nobody has spoken about here, or I haven't heard anyone speaking about the same. This is what gambling companies will always target, especially those who are online. They will target people who are into entertainment or sports. They will target those who are into drugs and alcohol. They will target those with any kind of addiction. Mental health as well has been spoken about here. And they will target those who watch and enjoy porn. Mr. Speaker, there are reports as well that we saw when we were looking into this bill in our Labour Committee, which show that in Kenya, some of the highest usage of the internet lie in those very topics I have just mentioned. It's the top 10. In the top 10 are entertainment, sports, shopping, but in the top 3 is pornography. And Mr. Speaker, if we don't address these issues, the vices themselves, then we will never be able to control gambling. That is my fear, Speaker. And recently, in the last few months in this House, as I said, we keep legislating things that are the symptoms and not the actual core root of an issue. Recently, Speaker, we were trying to legislate around fundraising in churches and the like. And there are members in this House who actually said and opposed that bill because they said, how can you tax or try to regulate fundraising without looking at the reason why Kenyans feel like fundraising is their only hope to get through their problems? When somebody fundraises for a sick relative, we must not regulate the fundraising. We must ask, why does this person feel like the health system has failed them? When somebody is trying to fundraise, for example, for education or taking someone to university, you must not regulate that, but you must ask, why is this person feeling that the education system has failed them, and that's why they have to look into their family and friends and community to raise funds for education. Same principle for me, Speaker, lies here. Why are we trying to regulate gambling and try to put heavy restrictions or legislation on top of this issue, rather than actually dealing with the root cause of why people are privy or prey or run prey to gambling, which is the things that I've mentioned before. I think those are the issues that we need to really sit and think about, not just as legislators, but as thinkers, Mr. Speaker, because that's why we're here. We are apparently the most brilliant minds in the country, and that's why we have been put here to represent our people. And if we cannot sit and think about the root cause of our issues as a country, rather than always treating the symptoms and slapping a piece of legislation on top of it, then we will never, ever control anything. Nonetheless, gambling is my opinion, Speaker. And even if we go ahead
Senator Mungatana Cherargei and AD, please consult in low tones. so that we can hear Senator Crystal. Proceed.
Thank you for protecting me from the members who are consulting. This is a very emotive subject, and I'm sure that they are busy discussing my submission as I speak. Thank you very much, Speaker. I want to just underscore and re-emphasize that we need to think about the root cause, curing that, or preventing the root cause, rather than thinking about how to cure it with a piece of paper and regulations. Speaker, even as a creative, let me speak from the perspective of a creative. We recently, in the last financial bill of last year that was thwarted by protests across the country, Speaker, there was a provision or a proposal to start taxing creatives, the creative industry. And creatives came out in large numbers to say, how can you tax us or regulate us when you haven't created an environment for us to even thrive in the first place? What are you going to tax out of us? Creatives said. And Speaker, that same idea, I will take it not literally, but there are similarities from that to this, which is, why would you want to tax a base of people who clearly are showing symptoms of issues that we have not solved as society? Rather than solving them, we are punishing them for being unemployed, for being addicted to alcohol or drugs or pornography, whatever the case might be, when we haven't actually sat down as thinkers and the most brilliant minds in the country and looked at the research and actually engaged with evidence-based legislation to then realize that, hey, this may not be the actual, or it may not be a sustainable solution to just write a piece of legislation. We need to actually go down to the base, to the core, to the bottom line, which is, why are our people